Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Lech Deich Musar podcast. We continue with Pele Yoeitz. We are on page 65 in the art scroll, day 24 of Hachzik. So we're deep into the sugyas of Shalom Bayis, how a husband must treat his wife, and respectively how a wife must treat her husband. Each one has their individual avodas. It's not a one-way street. It's very much a two-way street for them to put in their all. Yes, we mentioned in the beginning that a husband may have to be built out of stronger material and endure more. And like we said, he at times may have to be the receiving end of insults, but Chas v'Shalom can never administer back, can never respond with insults, and he has to take more of a hit. That's what we've seen overall, but nevertheless, it's a two-way street, and a wife has tremendous eschayvus to her husband as well. And we continue with general Yoeitz advice about anger and needless fighting and ktata and quarreling. And obviously this is so important for the days we are in now, right before Tisha B'Av, the 9 days. There's a famous adage that goes, Chesed starts in the home. And l'chayr, that doesn't just apply to Chesed. A lot of people, they typically want to be out there and to do Chesed external, but there's many times there's a wife, there's kids, there's siblings, there's parents, there's cousins, there's things close by. And the same thing l'chayr would apply for Shalom Bayis. We want to strengthen ourselves. We want to tap into the energy, the mitzvahs hayoyim, quote unquote, of Tisha B'Av, of being Mar B'Shalom Ba'olam, and there's no better place to start at home with one's spouse, with one's children, if they have, with their parents, with their siblings, whatever it is, but close by. And now we're going to learn some practical general advice on that. V'zeh gadol. Whenever there will be an argument between people, or a man and his wife, and one of the involved parties is feeding the argument like rushing water, and he steps out of bounds and runs his mouth with no inhibitions, the other party must prevail with strength, not to answer him back at all while he remains in the throes of his rage, whether good or bad. So the first thing is, we're not encouraging, we're not justifying any of the parties that are escalating, that are adding fuel to the fire. But if there is one, then the other party has to realize that do whatever you can with strength. And this is something that's obviously very much needed. It's very hard not to answer back. And rather just wait it out until the wrath is past. And after a day or two pass, this is a famous concept that's expressed in many places, but we see the Pele Yoeitz talks about this, just wait it out a couple of days. It's a mission, I believe, it's a mission of us, I think, that so it's the same Yisod over here, but in just a couple of years, 100 years back, we see the same thing over here in the Pele Yoeitz. He understood this, he knew this. Wait for time to pass and don't confront the other person until he reaches a place of level-headedness, and then use a soft tone and say, why did you do this? Why did you act like this? What is my transgression? What did I do? What is the sin that you vehemently pursued me? And you're supposed to come with a desire, with an openness that you want to make shalom, that you want to make peace. And you say, is this whole situation, this rut that we entered, is this the way Hashem wants it to be? And keep it centralized. Focus on HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a rational, soft tone. And one who does this is deemed to be an Oyev Shalom, one who loves peace, Voidev Shalom, and who pursues peace. We said back in Pirkei Avos, it's not just good enough to be an Oyev Shalom, right? We highlight the midas of Aaron HaKohen. He wasn't just an Oyev Shalom, we say he's a Voidev Shalom. What's the difference? Because everyone can love Shalom in theory. Shalom is a good thing. It's nice. It's ethical. Even a non-Jew can understand. Yeah, shalom is great. But then there's another madriga, and this is what we highlight. This is the emphasis of Aaron HaKohen being not just an Ayy Shalom, but he was a Roidev Shalom. He pursued peace. He chased after it at all costs. He didn't want to see his friends get into scuffs. And he would go to this one and say he wants to be Melech, he want to make peace, and go to the other one and say the same thing and be Marbe Shalom Ba'ilam. But this is the idea over here. It's not just enough to be an Oiv Shalom, but one has to be a Roidev Shalom, which means to pursue it. And it's very hard. And that's the Avodah of Tisha B'Av. Try to think out of the box. Are there relationships I can rectify, bring them to a more peaceful place? Are the people that I wronged with my words, with maybe money, with Ahavas Chinam, working on unadulterated love and pursuing Shalom? That is what we need to bring back the Beis HaMikdash. And especially for one's wife and one's children, that's what we're talking about over here, general advice. Shalom starts at home. And in reward for this, when a person is able to withstand and endure very uncomfortable days where he has to wait for the other party to calm down, to get back to a place of peace, mental equilibrium, and then after bring up these points of Hashem, and does Hashem want this from us, and what can I do to make peace with you, then one will be zeiche to shalom b'chelei shavar ba'amenoisav. There will be peace within his walls and serenity within his palace. Hein hei mekame olam, for these are people who hold up the world. Ka'amaimer b'seinu zechem levrach al pasuk teila eretz ablima sha'olam yiskama misha boilim pid b'shas meriva ki b'zeh yeh machlikes akar she'ina moiled. That a person who keeps quiet and pursues peace in this merit, in this chus, then a person will bring peace to the entire world. Now, the Pele Yoeitz is going to discuss a woman who unfortunately discovered that she is married to a wicked and corrupt person. We spoke about this before, that she has to do her best and realize that this was God's given avodah to her, and it's a challenge. But now we're going to get more into, before we spoke about if the guy is not a mensch, the guy is not the nicest person in the world, but now we're saying, mamash, what if she's married to a wicked, mamash, a Rasha, corrupt? Even a woman whose lot has fallen, that she married a wicked and lawless man, who's abusive and foul-tongued. And again, this is just the words of the Pele Yoeitz. Obviously, this isn't meant to give any sense of any directive, any authority, any advice. Practically, one who's Rahman al-Islam in such a situation, there's ways of dealing with this. Go speak to your Rav, go speak to a therapist, go speak to someone. I'm just here to convey the ideal level of the Pele Yoeitz coming from the Torah, and I'm not going to patch it up and justify and explain. That's just a disclaimer as we tread these murky waters and topics. Even a woman whose lot has fallen to a wicked, abusive person. So what should she do? And he emphasizes, goes deeper into what the circumstances are. Not only is he abusive, how is that? What are the parameters of this? Even if the husband is abusive in a sense of intimacy and he ignores her personal boundaries, she too should not immediately despair. Rather, she should accept upon herself what has been decreed in Shemaim. And as long as her physical and emotional safety are not at risk, she should stand strong and not waver in her suffering, and understand that these trials will be an atonement for her neshama. This is very, very difficult and sometimes impossible, but as we said, this is just the ideal. Just to read one of the notes on the bottom over here, very important. The Pele Yoeitz is not advocating that a person remain in a situation where there is any kind of danger, chas v'shalom. That's not what the Torah wants. And moreover, it must be remembered that the resources available today for people in such situations did not exist in his time, so his suggestions do not include making use of them. This is exactly what we said before, that those times are very different, and there weren't all these organizations and great people and tzaddikim mamash that dedicate their lives towards these situations. So this is just coming from a different perspective, and that's something we have to keep in mind. So going on, so the Pele says, "V'tisbal v'leisibal lecharp al nafsha." As long as there's no risk, she should just take it as a kapara. Ki toiv schar la'olam haba. Her schar will be great in the next world. V'eishes chayil isha maskelos le'tegal lecharpas b'ayla v'reya mizga v'tiv l'brius. And a woman of virtue, a wise woman, she will never reveal her husband's disgraceful conduct and his terrible nature and rotten disposition to the wider public. Rather, her voice should be not heard by anyone while she focuses on bettering her situation, so her husband will not become humiliated in the eyes of others. And come to hate her even more because she revealed his disgrace. Because it's going to be counterproductive. Then his anger will smoke and his wrath will burn within him. And he will strike her an additional blow beyond these. She shouldn't open up and needlessly reveal any aspect of her difficulties or plight to her father, to her mother, to her siblings. What benefit will there be by her troubling her closest with her predicament? And additionally, it is common that a fire will be kindled inside of a parent regarding their daughter's plight, and they will go out to battle for her sake. What's going to happen ultimately is they will create a full-blown war with her husband until the flames of dispute will rise up uncontrollably. The Haisha, he tisa es avayna. And this woman, this nebuch situation where she's stuck in this marriage that she didn't want, but somehow she should be strong enough and courageous enough to stick it out, not open up to the public, not to her parents, because by inflaming her family members, there will be tremendous consequences of her mistake, and she will lose any chance of changing her husband. V'cheles peris by the and she will live with the fruits of her actions in this world, for she will be hated by her husband, and he will surely treat her in an even worse manner because she revealed their private affairs.